Obrigado. Thank you for the warm welcome. And you know, as a jazz musician, I have to improvise a little bit because I had a slightly different opening. But I want to say, in connection to jazz, the best music happens when we have a personal connection to it. And so I'm going to share with you a personal story because I am on a mission. And that is to change, improve, and save people's lives and the planet. And as I'm standing here and I'm looking out at all of you, I wonder, what is your mission? What are your superpowers? And what are you going to do with them to get the future that you want? If you look at this image, what do you see? Not much, huh? Well, this is how millions of people on the planet experience the world every day. And that includes me. You see, in 2012, on a business trip, I lost sight in my left eye. We expect to go away on business and come home in the same condition that we left. But I returned to a world of darkness. This changed my life. I can tell you now, looking back, the pain I went through was indescribable. I couldn't see movement in front of me. I couldn't see a flashlight that was being shown on my face and the direction that was coming from. The doctors called this total blindness in my left eye, and everything hurt. But I wanted to help my doctors and my family members to be able to understand what I could still see. Left eye, right eye. My cat, Macy, made the best photo model. And I used the skills that I had to be able to manipulate images on my computer to create a photo journal that guided our conversations over the next 2 years, 15 surgeries of my journey. And despite losing all the sight in my left eye, I wanted still to get the best outcome that I could for myself. Surgery in, recovery out, dealing with blindness. In a way, I might say I'm lucky, because this happened to me as a grown adult. And it happened to a woman who's a woman in tech. And so I was savvy with computers. But not every person that's dealing with a visual impairment is savvy with computers. As a woman in tech who was well-sighted for my entire life, I decided I was going to use tech to help me get back on my own feet as best as I could. So I got my office set up with a cinema-sized screen so that I could engage with the content. I started to look at those Zoom tools and high contrasting and a backlit keyboard to illuminate my office so that I could really engage with the content that I needed to be successful with once again. My survivor's mindset was in full gear, and I went from surviving to thriving as I learned other techniques, putting mirrors inside of my car so that I could see who was coming up on my blind side, taking a pole position in the conference room so I could keep all my colleagues on my good side, and also getting stylist tips, learning how to coordinate my clothing, and even putting makeup on with one blind eye. Think about that for a minute. When you close the good eye, how do you put that makeup on? Well, while I learned to adjust and adapt my own life, I knew that there was a bigger mission. I knew I needed to be bolder, and that others were probably going through similar challenges, and that I could help them through that, through the experiences that I had as a thriving individual, to help them get back on their feet, to empower them, and to really look at how we could truly empower every person on the planet to achieve what they wanted to do through technology and through AI, through the possibilities of innovation. So today, I want to be able to share with you how AI isn't just about enhancing our abilities, it's actually about how we redefine the possibilities, breaking barriers, and creating a world that is accessible to every person on the planet. While I was working at Microsoft, spent several years at the company, I had the great privilege to get involved in a really special project. And you can imagine, now that I've shared a little bit of my personal story with you, why I was so excited to be a part of this. It's a project that was called Seeing AI. This is an app. You can download it on any app store available today. And our aim was to enable every person with visual impairments to be able to achieve all they wanted to do in life and at work, any part of their community and engagements that they were having. Through AI, we could empower people who are using the camera of their mobile phone to be able to get a spoken audio clue that was telling them what the camera could see. Imagine going to a grocery store and being able to have that camera scan the barcode and tell you what product you were holding in your hands, the independence that that could give back to an individual. Or what about the cash that you had in your hands? You know, since we were talking a little bit about jazz today, one of my idols was Dizzy Gillespie. And did you know that Dizzy, who was an American jazz player, he used to only have $1 bills in his pocket because that was the way that he knew how to count the money that was in his pocket. Dizzy Gillespie had a visual impairment, and he was blind in one eye, and he didn't know how to see otherwise the money he had in his pocket. But of course, as time went on, Dizzy got pretty rich and famous. And so what he started to do was he found different folding fashions of the bills that he had in his pocket. A 5 was folded in half, a 10 4 times. So he could feel and know what the money was that he had in his pocket to hand out that cash more readily. But how empowering it is when we can leverage technology to be able to tell us about the cash that's in our hand. But you know something that's even more incredible about Seeing AI? It's amazed me to see that the #1 sector that has chosen to leverage this app is tourism. Why is that? Well, imagine here I am in Lisbon with you today, and maybe I can't quite read the menu in the restaurant or before the euro be able to interpret what the value of the currency was in my hand. And using a technology like Seeing AI is able to read and translate for me in a foreign language that is relevant to me. So I could read that back in Dutch or in English, in German, in French. I do speak a few languages. And I think this is a really exciting illustration about what AI can mean. In fact, something that I've done is I've gotten myself involved in a couple of different groups. Easy, which is a scale-up company that is using the computer and the mobile phone in order to do an eye exam, helping us from a sustainable way of being able to get our eyes checked. And please get your eyes checked every year. Go online and do an eye test. I'm also on a board of the ESCRS, that's the European Society for Refractive and Cataract Surgeons, 35,000 doctors and researchers, and we're looking for innovations for the front compartments of the eye. And I'm also on the board of the Cornea Patient Association. So working with patients like myself as a patient leader to help others get on their feet, enabled by technology. And there was one such case when I was using Seeing AI to work with a woman who had been visually impaired her entire life. And at one point, we used the camera and we were pointing it in a direction where there was a sofa with some cushions on it. And the voice on the phone said back to her, "The color of that cushion is green." And she said, "I never knew that that color was called green." What a profound effect that can have on someone's life. How empowering, and the sense of independence that technology could give to an individual. It's just amazing. Well, our superhuman powers are like being infinite learn-it-alls. And I love this expression because of all the information that we've been hearing about today. It's impossible to be a know-it-all. So be a learn-it-all. Choose to go and learn. Be curious. Think about how you can gain more know-how, how you can boost your senses, how you can extend your own creativity, all enhanced through AI. Well, this year, Capgemini's Technovision 2024 strategy has really highlighted this rapid evolution that we have seen in the digital experiences that are being driven by technology advancements. And what I really love so much about this year's strategy is that it explores the intersection of humanity and technology. So businesses who really want to enhance their own digital presence are going to need to offer those seamless, human-led, human-centric experiences that merge the physical and the digital worlds. We need to see this evolution as one that's propelled by AI, the immersive technologies. We heard a little bit about metaverse today as well, all that aim to bring more natural online interactions. Because our interactions with the world are becoming much more intuitive, much more real-like, largely facilitated by AI, generative AI, interactive AI, and it goes on. This transformation is, of course, also reshaping the way that we work, our workplaces. It's driving increased engagements, driving hyper-personalization, productivity, and sustainability. And overall, these developments are going to bring more expectations from users. In fact, the consumer is usually a few steps ahead of us. And we need to find the right ways to bring that authentic content, making it convenient and seamless in terms of the way that they are going to experience the world. When I think about the spark, where this all comes from, it's through innovation. The spark that ignites our superhuman powers. It's all about innovation. And there are likely many reasons for this enthusiasm. I really believe that innovation drives the economy. It drives social progress, and it also can save people and the planet. And innovation and technology is the best way to augment ourselves. There's one on here that I want to call out in terms of the economy and just give you 3 really short examples, but I don't know if any of you have observed what's been happening in the world of how innovation is driving the economy. But I would actually pay tribute to the fact that there's something going on around girl power economy right now. And as a musician, I'm going to give you these examples. So first of all, are there any Swifties in the audience today? So in the front row there is Taylor Swift, her Eras Tour. Beyoncé, the Renaissance Tour. And of course, the movie, Barbie. Why do I mention these 3 events? Because they have single-handedly brought more revenue into the economy than any events in history. But why am I telling you about these events, and what do they have to do with technology and innovation? Well, Taylor Swift has used low-tech LED technology on all of her concert tours in order to engage all of the individuals in the audience in her tour. So she created patterns from her music that illuminated the stadiums that she's been playing in, so every person felt connected to her words and to her concerts. Beyoncé, she used robotics and AI to design the stage settings in her concert tour. And the Barbie film? Well, they created a selfie generator so that everybody could look like Barbie or Ken, because we know we're all Kenough. So if I think about what that did in the economy, though, before the Barbie film even launched, they had generated over 150 million euro in revenue before the film even went live. Taylor Swift is said to be single-handedly responsible for the greatest increase in merchandising in the NFL, in the National Football League in the United States, because of her presence at events. And through her concerts, she has also been able to bring people together, fathers with daughters, men and women who enjoy football together. And I think these are pretty cool examples, enabled by technology and the backbone of what they've been working on, that show how they have managed to boost the economy. And of course, through generative AI, we can create new works of art. We can create compelling stories and engaging dialogues, thinking about those 1-minute videos. I'm so excited for when Sora comes out, and audio, of course. But just as much as the things that we enjoy and entertain us, there are, of course, the opportunities to create new business concepts and models, looking at services, strategies, products, the architectures of the way we work, and the assets and the brand new value that we have never imagined possible before. And if we think about this adoption journey, though, sometimes we're getting in our own way. It's our mindset that's preventing us from embracing new things. We heard some wonderful comments earlier today about the Industrial Revolution, and I have a slightly different perspective on that, in that I would say if we look back to the Industrial Revolution that affected blue-collar workers at that time, 90% of jobs changed. They didn't disappear. They changed, and they changed the way that people needed to engage. Now today, in the digital revolution, as I would call it, it's affecting the jobs of us, the white-collar workers. And again, I think we're going to see a repeat of history in that 90% of our roles will change. They will be impacted, but they're not going to disappear. We will find ways that technology will complement the work that we need to do. But I understand that there are some concerns, and that, for instance, in the medical field, doctors think about their own job displacement. What will that tech mean to them? There are concerns about the loss of the human touch. How do we keep the HIL, the human in the loop, when we look at autonomous processes? And there is quite some resistance to wanting to learn new technologies. I went to medical school for 8 years. Now I need to go back again and learn again. Yes, you should. And in fact, my invitation to all of you here today, please go and learn about Gen AI, experiment with it, try something new every day so that you can stay in the forefront of your own industry. But it's important to note that while these concerns are valid, the digital transformation in healthcare is not about replacing doctors, but it's rather about enhancing their capabilities. AI, for example, can assist doctors in processing large amounts of data. In fact, Satya Nadella, CEO at Microsoft, said in 2017, through ones and zeros, we will find a cure for cancer in the next 10 years. I'm counting on that. 3 more years on that timeline. And we're getting closer. I believe in it. And I believe that through capabilities like generative AI, we can accelerate the way that we look at those types of solutions and diagnoses. Did you know that today less than 5% of surgeries are being done through robotics? So there is an opportunity for us to think about how we're going to work alongside of the technology to improve our capabilities on the operating table. Someone once said to me that the hook to innovation is spending 1 minute to learn something new. And so I want to invite you to think about spending that 1 minute, and on this continuum of the adoption journey, thinking about the small things that you can do every day that make a big difference. All the way up that continuum to once you've recognized that you've made a radical, systematic change. This will help you ensure that you stay at the forefront of your own industry. So let me share with you an example about how we've embraced this innovation journey at Capgemini. Because sometimes we need to collaborate internally, and we need to challenge ourselves internally within our own organizations. We can crowdsource and we can do hackathons, and we can engage with solutions within our own communities. And one such great example is the Global Data Science Challenge that we run every year on different themes at Capgemini. In this particular case on combating river blindness, we had more than 900 participants from over 31 countries that used AI to help a German hospital to advance river blindness diagnosis and the treatments. And I think I can make worm diagnosis sound a little bit cool here today, but what we did was we looked at how we were going to digitize those microscopic samples. We wanted to look at tissue samples, label them, code them, make sure that we were testing through deep learning models how to detect and classify the different sections of worms so that we could really start to identify every time they came back. And we started this in low image resolution. Once we got better at that and we transferred the information, we could start to apply that in high resolution imaging in terms of the image detection of those samples. And as a result, 90% accuracy in the diagnosis of how we could look at improving how we could do the clinical trials and also look at reducing the time to market for clinicians and researchers in advancing the cures for river blindness. I think it's a fantastic example of how AI really makes a difference for individuals. Of course, we also need to team up. We need to partner and tap into the greater good. And we talked about the broader ecosystems here today. In 2012, the year that I shared with you my own personal story today, an estimated 7 million individuals where the new cases of cancer were diagnosed in individuals over the age of 65. So how can we think about the quality of life of these elderly individuals that were dealing with cancer and recovering from cancer? Well, the answer came from an EU initiative that was called Life Champs. And here in Portugal, Capgemini led the technical management and also all of the data and AI that was part of that program. As far as I'm concerned, cancer champions are real-life superheroes. And through this Life Champ platform, the technology was able to help improve their quality of life. We used big data and looked at smart care models in order to help them to monitor the approach of avoiding relapse and rediagnosis. There was also a collaborative structure involved where patients and doctors and the healthcare providers could get together and start to really understand the actionable insights related to an individual and how that was affecting their own quality of life, as well as the quality of service, and how important that was to get to a better outcome for those individuals involved. And of course, we've heard a bit more today about the fact that at the end of the day, it's all about how we can augment ourselves. So ultimately, we need to be able to leverage technology to get the best outcomes for ourselves. Just like the story that I shared with you about how I leverage technology and these experiences today that are driven through AI, we have human avatars like Alice that Capgemini developed for a large pharmaceutical company. And she's able to help an individual to understand the post-surgery treatments and the cancer screenings that they would be going through in their own diagnosis. In this way, we can extend our own care beyond the operating room to get the relevant information and the insights that are going to help us to get the best outcomes for ourselves. So with that, I put a QR code here because I want to invite you to scan the code to look at our Technovision strategy with the leading trends that we see taking place in the market this year, helping both CIOs and business decision makers to be able to make bold decisions about what technology trends and advancements are relevant to your own business. I want to invite all of you to be a learn-it-all and to be the first in adopting AI in your own industry. Learn how you can leverage that to augment your own human capabilities and to put your superhuman powers to practice. You know, it's not that it's a new thing. If we think about humankind ever since our existence, we've been looking for tools, for sorts of technology, in order to augment ourselves, in order to extend our muscle power, in order to extend our reach, in order to think about how to increase our own possibilities, and to look at achieving results and going places that we never thought would be possible before. There's a great philosopher named Mary Daly, and she once said that just as we can learn to swim by swimming, we can learn courage by couraging. And I would say we can learn to vision by visioning. And imagine how AI can be harnessed in your field. Take that 1 minute today and get started on something small. But take the steps, those actionable steps, because the possibilities are endless. So I wonder, what are you going to do next to get the future that you want? Thank you very much.